You know how it is trying to keep up with the speed of AI development? It feels like an Olympic sport sometimes,
It really does.
especially when you're someone who wants to really get it,
Yeah,
you know, not just skim the headlines.
absolutely.
And well, that's the whole idea behind these deep dives. We try to sift through all that noise, that constant flood, and pull out the crucial bits, the stuff that's actually, going to make a difference. Think of it as your cheat code to staying ahead.
A necessary cheat code, I'd say. And today, yeah, we've got a great source to unpack, a recent edition of Prateek's Beyond the Code newsletter. It's just brilliant at cutting through the hype.
Exactly. He gets right to the actionable info.
Mm.
So we're pulling out 3 key threads from that newsletter for you today. First up, we're going to explore how Microsoft's Azure AI content understanding is making video, well, truly interactive, like a knowledge source.
Yeah, that one's fascinating.
Then we'll dive into PydanticAI. It's a new framework that seems to be streamlining how we build AI applications.
Making life easier for developers, hopefully.
Right. And finally, we'll look at how Docker is bringing the power of AI models, like right down to your desktop. Easier access.
Yeah, local AI, big topic.
So yeah, think of it as a snapshot. AI getting smarter, easier to build with, and just more accessible all around.
Okay, let's jump into that first one then. Azure AI Content Understanding and this RAG on video capability.
Okay, so picture this.
Mm.
You've got loads of video content, right? Maybe internal training stuff, conference talks, webinars, whatever.
The usual corporate video library.
Exactly. And right now, finding one specific thing someone said in like hour 3 of a seminar, it's a nightmare.
Total pain, needle in a haystack.
But what if you could just ask it a question in plain English, like, what did the speaker say about AI strategy? And boom, you get an immediate, precise answer pulled straight from the video.
Okay, that's the promise of a RAG on video.
Yeah. It's not just transcribing words, it's actually understanding the spoken words, any text you see on the screen, even the visuals to answer your questions.
That's a fundamental shift, isn't it? It turns video from this passive thing you just watch
Right.
into an active searchable knowledge base. It's like giving every video its own little search engine that actually understands context.
Exactly. And the newsletter really highlights why this is such a big deal. Instead of, endless scrubbing back and forth or relying on some flaky summary,
Both in there.
you just ask what you need. Imagine grabbing the key points from a super long presentation just by typing a simple question.
It's powerful. And it does this using what they call multimodal processing. It sounds fancy, but
Yeah, break that down.
it just means the system is understanding the video on multiple levels at once. It hears the audio, turns it into text. It reads the text in the slides or on screen using OCR. And it even analyzes the visual elements.
So it gets the whole picture, not just the audio track.
Exactly. That comprehensive view is what lets it answer questions accurately.
And for anyone working in, say, a bigger team or a company, the fact that it's built to scale inside Azure, that's huge.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It means this isn't just some cool lab demo. It's designed for real-world deployment, enterprise scale.
So what kind of applications do you see really taking off with this? Where's the biggest impact?
Well, I think internal knowledge sharing is a massive one. Think about onboarding new folks.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine they can just search through all the past training videos or meeting recordings to find answers instantly. That could slash onboarding time.
And make all that trapped knowledge actually useful.
Exactly. And hey, if you're intrigued by this, the newsletter mentions the Azure AI Content Understanding documentation and a YouTube playlist with demos. Worth checking out for a deeper look.
Definitely. Okay, let's shift gears. Building the next wave of AI apps. The newsletter introduces PydanticAI, and it sounds like it wants to make life, well, a lot easier for developers,
That's the pitch, yeah. So PydanticAI comes from the same people who made Pydantic.
which loads of Python developers already use, right, for data validation.
Exactly. It's super popular for making sure your data is structured correctly, the right types, the right format. So now they're trying to bring that same focus on structure and, frankly, developer friendliness.
Like FastAPI's approach?
Sort of, yeah. That kind of smooth experience, but for the often messy world of building apps powered by large language models, LLMs.
Okay, so if Pydantic helps tame data, PydanticAI helps tame the AI itself, how does it actually smooth out building these apps?
Well, think about one of the biggest headaches with LLMs, consistency.
Right, getting them to give you the output you actually need reliably, they can be a bit creative.
Creative is one word for it. So Pydantic AI uses Pydantic's validation smarts to let you define exactly what kind of output you expect from the AI, what information, what format.
Ah, so you're giving the LLM stricter rules to follow.
Basically, yes. Which helps you build more reliable, more predictable AI applications. You're not just hoping for the best.
The newsletter mentions some specific pain points Pydantic AI tackles, like managing complex AI workflows and connecting to external data. Why are those such common problems?
Because building a non-trivial AI app usually isn't just one call to an LLM. It's often a sequence of steps, right?
Yeah, talk to the AI, maybe grab some data from a database, process it, maybe call the AI again.
Exactly. Orchestrating all those moving parts gets complicated fast. And if the output from one step, especially the LLM step, isn't structured properly,
It breaks the whole chain.
right, it can throw a wrench in everything downstream. So Pydantic AI offers a more organized way to define and manage these workflows. And crucially, it ensures the data coming from the LLM fits the structure you defined, making it immediately usable. Plus, it helps catch errors earlier.
So it brings some much-needed order to the potential chaos of LLMs. And how does being Python-centric and using type safety help there?
Well, being Python-centric means it fits right into the ecosystem where most AI dev happens anyway. It feels natural to Python developers.
Less friction.
Less friction. And the type safety part, that's huge. It means you define the expected data types, like this should be a string, this is an integer. That catches a whole class of common programming errors before they blow up at runtime. Makes the code more robust, easier to understand, easier to maintain.
And it works with different LLMs, not just one specific provider.
Yeah, that's important. It's model agnostic. OpenAI, Anthropic, Gemini, Mistral. It supports the popular ones.
The newsletter also flagged features like structured responses and dependency injection. What's the practical benefit of those for someone actually building an app?
Okay, structured responses is key to that reliability we talked about. It enforces that the LLM's output must conform to the Pydantic model you defined. No more weirdly formatted text you have to manually parse.
You get predictable data back.
Predictable, usable data. And dependency injection. That's more of a software design pattern, but it helps you write cleaner, more modular code. Components can easily get the resources they need, like maybe a database connection or an API client, without being tightly tangled together.
Makes the code easier to test and change later.
Exactly. More maintainable, especially as things get complex.
Yeah.
It also mentions things like real-time debugging integration, streamed responses for faster results, even graph-based workflows in beta. Lots going on.
Sounds like a serious toolkit. And for anyone wanting to get hands-on, the newsletter points to the Pydantic AI GitHub repo, tutorials, examples, even FastAPI integration examples.
Yeah, they've provided a good set of resources. Makes it much easier for developers to actually try it out and see how it fits.
All right, let's move to our final piece today. Running AI models locally. Docker Model Runner. This sounds like it could really change the game for accessibility.
Yes, this one's really exciting, I think, especially for anyone who wants to experiment with LLMs without spinning up cloud instances or dealing with complex installs.
So Docker, which, already revolutionized app deployment with containers, is now trying to do the same for running AI models right on your own machine.
That's the goal. It launched in beta with Docker Desktop 4.48, and the idea is to bring that familiar Docker simplicity to local AI.
Okay, so skip the cloud setup headaches, just run it here. What's the big deal? Why is this significant?
Well, the newsletter points out a few key things. The absolute biggest one is just simplifying the setup.
Because getting local LLMs running used to be tricky.
Understatement. Yeah. Hardware compatibility, different tools for different models, managing dependencies. It could be a real mess. Docker Model Runner aims to fix that. You can basically pull prepackaged models from Docker Hub, just like you pull application images.
So they're like ready to run AI containers.
Pretty much, yeah. They're OCI artifacts. And then you launch them with just one command, Docker Model Run.
Okay, that does sound simple. And the newsletter mentioned it uses an OpenAI compatible API powered by something called llama.cpp. Why is that important?
Oh, that's crucial, because it exposes the model through an API that mimics OpenAI's standard.
It means tons of existing AI tools and frameworks might just work with these local models out of the box.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
Or with very minimal changes. It dramatically lowers the barrier for developers to start experimenting with local AI using the tools they already know.
And the privacy and cost benefits the newsletter highlights, those seem pretty obvious, but also really important.
Absolutely. Your data stays on your machine. You're not sending prompts or sensitive info to a third-party cloud.
Right.
And you're not paying per token Or for cloud compute time, for developers testing things out or working with private data, that's a huge plus.
Cost-effective tinkering.
Exactly. And Docker's collaborating with folks like Google, Hugging Face, Qualcomm. So we should see more optimized models appearing on Docker Hub, maybe even with better hardware support down the line.
It sounds incredibly easy to try. The newsletter practically gives you the recipe. Install Docker Desktop, enable Model Runner with a command.
Docker Model Run, auto-enable.
Yep. Pull a model like Ismol M2.
Docker, pull Ismol M2.360 MQ4KM is the example they give.
And then run a test query right from the command line.
Yeah, the Docker Model Run, Ismol 2.360M Q4KM. What is the capital of France? Example really shows how straightforward it is. Paris, hopefully.
Let's hope. And if you need more detail, the Docker documentation on Model Runner is the place to go.
Right. It's still beta, currently Mac OS on Apple Silicon first, but Windows GPU support and custom model publishing are apparently on the roadmap.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've hit 3 really interesting developments from that Beyond the Code newsletter. We looked at Azure's RAG on video making video searchable knowledge.
Unlocking insights there.
We dug into PydanticAI, aiming for more robust, developer-friendly AI application building.
Bringing structure to LLM development.
And we checked out Docker Model Runner, making powerful AI models much easier to run locally.
Democratizing access, really.
And the common thread here, it seems, is AI becoming, well, more integrated, easier to harness for developers, and just generally more accessible for playing around and building things.
Yeah, the infrastructure is maturing, becoming more user-friendly.
So here's the thing to chew on. Think about these 3 developments together. Azure making video smart, PydanticAI making AI building smoother, Docker making local AI simple. How might these tools combined actually change the way you learn or build things or just interact with AI day to day?
It's not just small steps, is it?
Yeah.
Feels like foundational shifts.
Exactly. Which one of these sparks the most immediate interest for you? What possibilities do you see opening up in your own world? That's the real takeaway from this deep dive, is something to think about as you navigate this very fast-moving AI landscape.